Today we're going to discuss 10 things that we need to stop doing in the year 2023 in order to have a better 2023. There are many other things, other suggestions, but today I'm just going to focus on this 10. One of the things that we need to stop doing is we need to stop having disparity in the penalty for crimes. Okay, what I really want to bring out is the fact that there are certain people in the higher socioeconomic class of St. Lucia, people who are more wealthy and have more contacts, when they commit certain crimes, especially drug crimes, they seem to get away with those crimes with impunity. Whereas the people who are at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder tend to suffer seriously for this crime. And I refer specifically to drugs. Just last year, we had a situation where a whole container of marijuana, ganja, chronic, was seized by the Customs Department. Now, you heard about that thing one time on the news. They show you the container of marijuana and everything, things were seized. But then no one was arrested. And you never heard of that news item again. You never heard of that again. Also, I can recall many years ago, there was a situation where there was a guy from up north who they raided his place, a businessman. And this is how the news reporting went. It went like this. A businessman was arrested. A businessman from where they mentioned the name of the place was arrested because he had X amount of buckets of compressed marijuana. They said a businessman, a prominent businessman, but they never mentioned the name of that prominent businessman. Whereas when they catch a poor person, the average person with some marijuana, they will mention their names. They will show their faces and things like that. This is how they report the news. A 27-year-old man or 27-year-old John Rum from Denny Riviere was arrested today during a random stop by the Richmond police station. Or it would go like this. Police attached to the Richmond police station arrested John Theodore from Olean. And they will mention his age. And they will say he was caught with 20 pounds of compressed marijuana. I approached two prominent news people in St. Lucia and asked them about that. And one of them told me that they cannot publicize the name of the people unless there is they charged. But why is it that it is so easy to charge the poor person and you get in the rich guy at his home with buckets and buckets of compressed marijuana, yet his name was never mentioned? So this is why I'm telling you, what happens is it causes the young people to have a callous mentality towards the law of the country. So some people, what they will say is clearly that the law is in favor of the rich. And these fellas, some of them reach a point where they do not care. And it's almost like they develop an anger, a hatred towards society. And this is some of the reasons why we see some of these callous crimes taking place. Because people are numb to the society. So in 2023, we need to stop this thing. We need to stop this thing where people who are the top of the socioeconomic ladder, when they get arrested for drugs, nothing happens to them, not even a slap on the wrist. But when the ordinary man, the poor person is arrested, you all have his name on radio and television, his name, where he from, and all of those things. And nothing happens to the guys that you all respect. That must stop in 2023, especially if we want to have a better environment, a better community, a better society than the one that we have had or the one that we dealt with in 2022. The other thing that we need to do, that we need to stop doing, the other thing that we need to stop doing in 2023 is that we need to stop abandoning our farmlands. We need to stop abandoning our farmlands. What we have now is a situation where people are coming up with all kinds of excuses for them not to farm. We have a situation where we observe where people who have been trained in farming, people who know about crop production, agricultural production, they leave the rural areas, some of them, to go to castries to work security jobs for $3 and something cents an hour. Now, they leave those things, leaving our lands abandoned. What will happen is we will have a situation, and we are right now having a situation, where a lot of the things that we can produce, a lot of the crops that we can produce, we are importing them now. We are importing them now because we abandon our farmlands. So, before we started abandoning our farmlands, we would have like millions of dollars circulating within the economy every month. But right now, this is not happening. The other danger in abandoning our farmlands is that you create a situation where you start to make your national security more vulnerable. So, in order to strengthen national security in the country, it is of paramount importance. Food security is part of your national security. So it is very important that we strengthen our food security and we continue to grow the crops that we use in this country. We continue to grow crops that we can export in this country. So in 2023, this is some of the things that we need to see. We need to see that happening. Some people are looking for excuses. People are complaining now about the price of agricultural inputs. Before the hike now, the things were lower. Pre-COVID, the 20 kilogram bags of fertilizer was being sold at $55 for the bag. And the 100-pound bags were sold at $110. Right now, because of what they claim is, they claim that the war in Ukraine is affecting the price of commodities. So the 20 kg bag is now $110, and the 100-pound bag is now $220 thereabout. But in spite of the increase in the price of fertilizer, it is very important that we still produce, because people still eat every day in this country. And if it is that you're not going to produce, other countries are going to produce, having to pay the same amount of money that you spend on fertilizer, yet they will go through the trouble of producing, and you will have to buy from them. So the little money that you already have in this country, you will be sending it overseas, whereas this money could have stayed here to strengthen the economy. So again, I'm saying again, for a better 2023, we need to go back into production agriculture. We need to go back into agriculture. We need to go back into production agriculture and stop making excuses. Stop blaming governments for everything. Your farm is your business. It is a business. The government does not own your farm. Your government does not own your farm. Whereas it is important that the government support agriculture. It is to the better interest of the government to support farming and agriculture in the country. But if they fail to do it, if they are not interested in it, it is still your business. It is still your business. It is your business. It is not the government's business. Your farm is your business. You're going to produce crop to support your family. So in 2023, I'm asking people in this country, if it is that things are going to be better for us, if it is that we want things to be better for us in this country, knowing the economic situation that we had last year, it is of paramount importance that we go back into production agriculture, that we need to go back to the farms, people. One of the things that we need to stop doing in this country in 2023 is that people need to stop blaming the government and blaming the police for the bad behavior and the criminal behavior of their children. You know, it is getting to be very tiring now and very frustrating to see. It is almost like a great percentage of the population, the only suggestion, the only solution that they have for the crime situation is to blame the government and to blame the police. Parents, some of you, when your children come to your home with things that you know they did not buy, why is the police involved in that? Your child does not have an electronic store, yet he has 15 laptops, 10 phones, iPad, and those things. Where is the police in all of that? Why don't you call the police and the government when those things are happening? Why is it that you do not call the policemen when your children are doing those things? Some of you, your children misbehave in the community. And when the members of the community come and talk to you about the bad behavior of your children, you shout at people, you berate them. You don't want them to say anything about your child. You behave like when people come and tell you, complain to you about the bad behavior of your child. Some of you all say that the people are just jealous of you. Some of you all say that the people hate your children. Even when your people misbehave in the schools and the teachers discipline them, you all have a problem with that. So nobody can discipline your children. Nobody can tell them anything. You see they coming with items that they do not purchase at your house. Yet you do not call the police. You never call the government. But when the shit they say hit the fan, you now complain that it is the police that is responsible. And it is almost like a hymn that you're singing in a church. It's the police. It is the government. Let me tell you something. People need to remember and realize the children of the policemen, for the most part, and the children of the government, whatever it is that you call government, they do not partake in these crimes and these things that are happening in this country for the most part. Let me tell you something. The children of the government and the children of the police, the plan is that when they finish secondary school, they go to Sarah Louis. And they can't wait. The government and the police can't wait for them to finish Sarah to send them to England, America, or UWE, or some other place. Okay? That is what the people do. Whereas you blame them for the behavior of your own children, as it relates to their children are on a track to university, or on a track to own their own businesses. Whereas you blame everybody, you blame the other people who come and talk to you about the bad behavior of your child, and when the rubber hit the road, then you want to blame the government. Then you want to go on television and say that these people were actually good people. You was a good boy. You people know exactly what your children do. You see what is in the house. You know what is going on. They know what is happening. But yet when things happen, when the rubber hits the road, when chicken comes back to roast, the thing is, it is so easy to blame government, and it is so easy to blame the police. But the parents and the community, some of them accept no responsibilities, even when they see the problem. They cover up for for bad behavior. They are enablers of bad behavior. They know that they are enablers of bad behavior. They know about what's going on. They know of the involvement of their children in the drug trade. They know that their children are involved in hurting other people and maiming other people. They are well aware of that. But when the rubber hit the road, everybody wants to blame the government and they want to blame the police. But you never call the government and you never call the police when the thing was going on. When the seed was growing, you knew about it, but you never call the government, you never call the police. This thing has to stop in 2023. Let everybody run their house properly. Raise your children properly. Raise your children properly. Enlist the help of the teachers in helping you raise your children. Enlist the help of the community to help you raise your children. And stop blaming everybody else but yourself. In 2023, that have to stop in this country if it is that we have to make progress in this place. Word. The other thing that we need to stop doing The other thing that we need to stop doing in 2023 is you need to stop having your children at your homes on established church days. In this country, it is established that on Saturdays, people who are Church of God Adventists, they go to church. They go to a place of worship. Catholics, Pentecostals, other people, they go on a Sunday. But what happened now is modern parents, they do not allow their children to go to church. When I was growing up, we did not have a choice. We had to go. Sometimes even if your mother doesn't go, but you have to go. So what happened is, it is at these occasions we learned about do not kill, do not steal. We understood and we got an understanding of the ramification of bad behavior. You see, your moral scruples was formed. Your moral compass was engineered at that time. You had a sense of what is right and what is wrong. Your sense of forgiving other people. You know, these are things that we develop from going to church on weekends. But what we have now is we have a lot of modern women, modern mothers who do not send their children to the houses of worship. What they do is they would let their children stay home playing video games, especially the little ones, actually infants. They have them watching stories, iPad stories and things like that. I have watched some of these stories that the children watch. And some of these stories are very demonic in nature. Children can actually be recruited to be witches from 3 years old. From these little programs that the parents have their children watching, some of them are actually programming children to be very sensitive to the demonic realm. And that is what they have their children watching. And the older ones, they have them at home, sometimes doing nothing, just watching, playing video games and things like that. What we have also is a situation where the mothers, they allow the girls to learn how to cook, learn how to wash dishes and everything. So the girls learn life skills. They learn to do things properly. And because of that habit, girls always complete their homework and the boys do nothing. A lot of the ladies have boys growing up. It is almost like they have handicapped people in the house. These boys can't cook food, a lot of them, they can't do nothing. But the girls, they can actually learn a trade from their home. A girl can learn to cook food and run a cook shop for herself as a business because she learned to do those things at her house. But the boys, they do not learn anything. A lot of the mothers spoil them, just have them watching TV and giving them just free square meals. And so what we have is these modern mothers, a lot of them, they do not send their children to a house of worship, but allow them to stay at home, especially the boys, doing nothing. And so in 2023, if we want a better society, if we want our children to be raised with moral scruples, with a moral compass, with a sense of right and wrong, it is of paramount importance that people send their children to houses of worship in 2023. One of the things we need to do in 2023, especially this one is dedicated mainly to men, is to stop allowing your children to fall into loopholes and the cracks of society because of lack of financial and emotional support. What we see happening in a number of cases with this crime that is happening is young boys who do not have the financial and even emotional support of a father. So what we have is guys who do not support their children financially. And so some of the children, they need basic things and they need a sense of direction. A lot of times, the ladies are not strong enough to control these boys, especially when they're reaching the teenage years. And so what happening is, since they do not have fathers to provide for them, sometimes people end up taking quasi-fathers who actually get them involved in selling drugs and committing crimes. So what we have now is you have guys who because they are no longer with the mother or because they're not getting sexual gratification from the mothers or sexual favors, they will not take care of their children. And so some of the boys are growing up hungry, not having the proper attire, not being able to eat properly, and just left. It's almost like they just left and they fall into the cracks of society. And so in 2023, it is very important that men step up and just look out for your children. Because when I was teaching, what I realized is it was a shocking thing. You notice that some children are not cared for sufficiently. And when you check the situation, you're realizing that these boys actually have fathers who have good jobs in society, or their father have a good trade, making good money, but yet they would not take care of their sons. And then you would look, and these are the same men who go by the bar, buying beer for people, inviting people to get drinks, trying to sex every woman in the community, and they will not take care of the boys. The boys are neglected. Some of the fellas are hungry. Some of them do not have, they see other children nicely attired with the latest shorts or the latest shirt and all of that, and they can't afford it. So they get under the control of a pseudo father, and is a guy who will just give them a gun and tell them to go and commit crimes for them. And so in 2023, we need to start somewhere. We need the men of this country to assume the role of boss of your son. Be the boss of your son. Do not let your other people be the boss of your child. And these bosses, some of them invariably have your child committing crime. In 2023, we want these men to step up. Instead of buying beer for everybody and trying to sex everybody, look out for your sons. Look out for your sons so that we can start at least dealing with these problems that we have in the society. Another problem we need to stop in this country, we need to stop, or we need to deal with situations where you have small subsectors of society behaving like they want to hold the country at ransom. The last time there, we had a situation where there was an increase in the price of bus fare, an increase that I believe was very necessary. That was in order to have the people, get something better because the price of fuel was up, and you couldn't have all the, they restricted on the number of people that could have been on a bus and everything. But the bus drivers got a blow. So to me, it is understandable that the bus drivers got an increase in the fare. But we have had a situation in this country where bus drivers have held the government at ransom, threatening that they're going to shut down the country if they do not get a hike in the price. Now, you should never leave the country vulnerable to that kind of hijack. My uncle was telling me of a situation that happened in America a long time ago. President Ronald Reagan was the president of America at that time. And there was a situation where the air traffic controllers, he told me, were threatening to strike. And so what Reagan did was he took the air traffic controllers from the army and had them man the airports. And that dealt a good blow to these people who were threatening. So the way I look at it is, you cannot have bus drivers threatening to shut down the country every couple of years like that. You cannot have that. The government need to start having their own buses, their own government buses in every community. At least one. So that anytime these people believe that they want to shut down the country, they will just see boats, badges coming here with big buses, and we just put buses everywhere in this country and just complete this whole thing. But it is a matter of national security. You cannot have subsectors of the country just threatening to shut down the country. That cannot happen. That must stop. And incidentally, we have a situation where people who sell bread, bakers are now trying to raise the price of bread. Everybody is experiencing an increase in the price of the inputs that they use. Farmers who used to spend $55 on a small bag of fertilizer now paying $110. For the 100-pound bags, they were paying $110, then they pay now 200 and something. And the price of the agricultural produce have not increased. But what is so special about these bakers? Listen to me. My thing self is to let the bakers, the bakers, their family, their children, and their women, let them eat their bread. But anybody any of these bakers who are going to raise the price of bread, let them buy their own bread. Do not buy their bread. It is time that we deal with those people. Because what happening is everybody in the community, in the country is feeling the pinch. And you cannot just have subsectors just raising the price of things like that. Everybody deserves a raise. And if you're going to be entertaining these subsectors, we're going to have a situation where these people are going to tamper with the economy of the country. So we cannot allow subsectors to hold the country at ransom like that. In 2023, that must stop. The seventh point I have is this. When you watch this news channel in this country, as it relates to policemen or the operation of policemen, there is just one word you hear, attached. Police attached to the Grosley police station. Police attached to the Richmond police station. Police attached to the Viewford police station. People, these are news people who are supposed to be the people who are supposed to know English well. When we were going to school, there was a book of synonyms. You're writing compositions, and your teacher would castigate you. You cannot use the same word every time. You have just substitute a word that means the same thing. That's how they taught us in school. But what we have now is news companies. Imagine the news agencies in this country using only one word: police attached, police attached, police attached, police attached. For everything having to do with police, is police attached. Man, use another word. In 2023, stop saying police attached. Use something else. These people are supposed to be like people who really know English properly. That's what you use every day. There's supposed to be a high standard of English in this country among news reporters. This is why I miss when people like Valerie Albert was reporting news. Valerie Albert never used to butcher these words like that. When we grew up hearing people like Valerie Albert, the lawyer, Winston Hinkson, Andrew Vonwell. These guys used to report news, and we used to learn English from those guys. But right now, these news reporters, you can't learn English from them. Police attached, police attached, police attached. In 2023, stop that. Learn to use a book of synonyms and get better. Stop using and butchering that word. We're tired of that. Police attached for everything. Okay. The other point I want to bring in 2023 is that we need to grow what we eat, and we need to eat what we grow, because we need to have more of our local money circulating instead of sending it overseas. One of the reasons why I believe that we tend to eat less of what we grow is because we have not really explored sufficiently more innovative ways of preparing meals. For example, we have crops like breadfruit, the yams, and other things. And there are not too many ways that people prepare those things. And so people get tired of eating the same thing every time. We need to find innovative ways to prepare the produce that we grow. In that way, it will encourage people to eat more of what we grow and produce more of what we eat. And these are some of the things that will be happening on this channel, showing people different ways of preparing different things. But if it is that we have to improve or strengthen the economy, we really this time we need to eat more of what we grow and grow more of what we eat in 2023. All right. I'm going to present this point, something that we must stop doing in 2023. It is very, very important. Some people went to America for a better life. They went to a place where they think that their living is easier. They went to America. And they send monies down to help their family. They send food down. It is very good. In fact, I read a story, a news item or some study that shows that around 44 or 46 million US dollars is sent to this country every year, remittances money. That is good. But it is almost like a great, great, great evil to see that somebody is in America, living in America, and the greatest thing you can do is to send guns to your own country in among the groceries that you send in. Your mother live in the country. Your father, your sisters, your uncles, your nieces, your cousin live in St. Lucia. But the greatest and the best idea that you have is to send guns down in groceries. That's your best idea. To the government of St. Lucia, what I'm saying is, anytime you get guns in groceries, try to find a way. Do not allow our administration to handle these problems here. Find a way to let the Americans handle these crimes. Because it is something that is being shipped from America. We do not produce guns here. The gun was shipped from America. So we need to find a way to allow the American administration to deal, using their laws in America, to deal with the St. Lucians whom the best idea they have for their people, for their country, is to send guns to their country. So in 2023, let's find a way to get the Americans to deal with them. So we don't have to deal with them. We will not have a situation where we can't find the files on court date. This happened, with not sufficient evidence. Let the Americans handle them in 2023. Finally, my final point for 2023 is that we need to create more small businesses in this country in a way to generate more employment, more revenue, and things like that. But sometimes, too many times, when people think of businesses here, the concept and the idea of businesses just don't make sense. Sometimes, okay, this year I'm going to start a business. That's what some of them say. And the only idea they have is to buy a bottle of rum, buy 2 bottles of white rum, buy a case of beer, and roast some meat and say that's a business. Knowing full well that there are 5 or 10 people just around them doing the same thing. People, we need to look at the country and see what it is that we do not have. We need to see the services that are needed but is not being provided. We need to look at the things that we import in and to see whether or not we can produce some of those things here at a reasonable cost and at great quality and standard. We need to watch and see what are the things that we need in this country. What are the services that we need in the country? What is it that we have, but yet it is not being distributed properly? We need to really study people when we're trying to identify a business to start. Many years ago, I was farming. I was planting tomatoes. And I noticed every time I want to use a certain chemical or a fertilizer, I had to go to Renwick or just go all the way by Mongrel. So then I realized, man, that is too much. Then my eyes opened and I realized, if I'm having these problems, look, all my other people, my other friends are having these problems. And I started the shop selling agricultural inputs. And the business is still there. I sold the business and the business is still there because it was actually supplying a need. I realized the need. It was affecting me. The lack of the inputs in close proximity was affecting me personally. And so that generated a business idea. And so people have to look at the needs and wants, the things that are needed, and start business. And too often, you just see somebody for business in this country and they just assume that man making a lot of money, that woman making a lot of money, and they just go and replicate the same thing. And sometimes these things are not profitable and nobody makes any money. So in 2023, I'm saying study the environment, study the country, study people, study the services that are needed, study the goods that are needed, and come up with businesses that actually make sense and will benefit people of the community and the country, where we can start employing more of our own people. It is not the job of government to employ people like that. It is the government supposed to provide an environment for business to thrive and for business to employ people. Let's do that in 2023. Keep the fire burning. Keep the fire burning. Take care.